I do feel like there is a group of people which I represent that are just shy girls. And I think that we're not allowed to be shy enough sometimes. That's what I mean. Another thing about being a pop star is you always need to be this super confident figure that's like perfect. Again, being from the UK, so many of my favorite pop stars were not perfect beings. Sometimes they were unglamorous, sometimes they were messy. Being shy is a secret power for me, because I feel like there's a lot of girls out there that are just as shy who also feel like they need to be represented.
Is PinkPantheress creating a new pop star blueprint? PinkPantheress, a 24-year-old singer, songwriter, and producer who grew up in Canterbury, England, didn't take the traditional route to stardom. Instead, she posted her songs to TikTok in late 2020, and they took off organically without help from a record label or a big artist cosign. She was an unknown, anonymous face, racking up millions of views on TikTok via songs she wrote and produced on GarageBand. But PinkPantheress was polarizing, because while she was able to achieve streaming numbers that big artists and record labels would die for, that might be a bit dramatic, work hard for, she was posting songs that were samples of older popular songs. For example, Just a Waste samples Michael Jackson's Off the Wall, and her song Break It Off samples English DJ and producer Adam F's Circles, which is a drum and bass classic that was released in 1997. Some view PinkPantheress' interpretations as lazy and underdeveloped and too short. None of her songs went past 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but her sound was focused and intentional, breathing new life into songs that weren't familiar to a US audience. And there was something very poignant about her sweet voice singing sad, angst-ridden lyrics over these drum and bass or garage beats, and her ad-libs hit. Her career could have easily stopped at the first mixtape. She could have easily been placed into an alternative or niche music category based on her samples, taste, and not being a blonde-haired, blue-eyed extrovert with skilled dance moves. But she's broken through with her music, aesthetics, and analytical mind, understanding how to utilize the internet and the algorithm in ways that don't feel empty or try-hard. It's 2025, almost 5 years after PinkPantheress released her first song on TikTok, and she's since signed to a label, released a proper album, Heaven Knows, and this year a mixtape titled Fancy That, which she just doubled down on with Fancy Some More, which features remixes from a wide swath of artists, including Kylie Minogue, JT, Zara Larsson, and Nia Archives. She's proven that she's a true artist that can make more than one viral moment. But does she want to be a bona fide pop star? Today, we are going to explore how and why PinkPantheress was able to break through, the recognition that she wants but hasn't received yet, her strict but evolving rules about music, who she wants to write for, and how she feels about y'all's critiques on her style. Then we will get into how she's challenging the pop star archetype and what she hopes to achieve in the future. My name is Aria Hughes, I am the editor-in-chief of Complex, and this is Please Explain, an explainer show about fashion, culture, and music that goes straight to the source. Hi, Pink. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. I'm a big fan. I love your work.
Thank you.
So now we're going to talk about the pop star blueprint. In my view, I think you're kind of creating one as you go. It does seem like you kind of vacillate between wanting to be niche and wanting to be mainstream.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, for one, because you talk about this pop star mold. Like, in your view, what is the mold of a pop star?
Growing up in the UK, I think I was very privileged to see a lot of pop stars that were never very cookie cutter, and so I know what my view of a pop star is, very much just somebody that creates pop and just enjoys making pop. But I think in the worldwide view of what a pop star is, I think it's a bit more rigid, the structures of what it looks like. If you want to make it about physicality too, it's like someone that's like gorgeous, who's like an amazing dancer, who's like, not always, but someone who has very amazing vocals live as well. And I think just someone that's a bit more forward-facing. And to be honest, like, those artists I look at sometimes, I get very jealous. I'm like, I really would love to kind of be that I wish I could dance in the way that they do and have the confidence to perform in that way. At my own headlines, I've been kind of trying to lean into being more confident. And I don't think that I'll ever be like what an American pop star typically looks like. just because I don't think my music lends itself to that.
Well, do you want to be a pop star?
So, but this is the thing, it's so tough. It depends what your definition of pop star is.
Well, I think one of the reasons why I'm like most fascinated with you is because I think you're breaking that mold in real time. Even, and we'll talk about your performances later, but like when I look at the Jimmy Fallon performance, I see pop star.
Oh, good.
You know, when I look at the Glastonbury performance, I see pop star.
Yeah, okay, fair.
I know you go back and forth, but to me, I feel like you're primed to be a pop star. You might be doing it in your own way, but I feel like there's lots of girls that are doing that now, like SZA, you know,
Yeah, you're right. I do battle myself on it a lot. I definitely don't want to be niche, though. I definitely would.
Yeah.
I don't want to be niche. I want to, like, have a very... It's tough. Like, I'm trying to think of people who I...
Yeah, because I was going to ask that. Like, whose career do you kind of, like, look at? And obviously, all artists are different, but just they kind of have a career that you think aligns with what you would like. I think SZA. I mean, I think about SZA.
No, but yes, but she's so globally huge. I don't think I want to be that globally huge. Like, she's so famous.
But why not? I mean, she's famous, but I feel like she's not as front-facing as traditional pop stars.
Well, I suppose the one person I've always liked and how they've gone about things, I actually really liked Tyler, the Creator, and how I like how he really does what he wants, and he's always done what he wants, and I think that you'll see him as some things but not everything, and it's always kind of at the right thing at the right time.
Yes.
That would be probably the person that I would... Because as well, like, I'm not trying to compare... I'm not comparing myself to him at all.
Of course not.
But, like, even the way that, you know, he's technically in the genre of rap, he does rap in his own way. And that's kind of how I see myself in the pop world. Like, I do it in my own way.
Yeah.
So...
What stops you from saying, I don't want to be globally that big? Is it, like, a mental thing? Is it just, like, does it feel exhausting to you?
Yeah,
like,
I think it would be cool to have a great, like, moment and, you know, have people... I really just really want a large cultish fan base. I don't necessarily want everyone to be a fan. I don't want everyone to necessarily... I worry that if everybody has something to say about me, it will destroy me.
Yeah.
So I like people who understand me, and there's a lot of artists that I like whose fans are just very, like, understanding of them, and I want that for me, you know.
You feel like you have that now?
Yeah, I do think my fans are really, really understanding of things, you know. Like, I think they give me a lot of grace.
Yeah. I know you told The Hollywood Reporter that there's certain things that you're going to be overlooked for, being that you are Black and make the music that you make. I think you were referring to electronic dance music when you said, or well, what would you call the music that you make?
So when I say electronic music, to be fair, I think I need to remember that I'm British. So I'm talking about things like EDM,
yes,
like jungle, drum and bass, and like garage music, two-step, and I'm really only specifically talking about that. Okay. I'm not talking about like
Calvin Harris. Or I guess he's...
Well, it depends which era of Calvin. See, I sound like a nerd, but I sound like a nerd. But no, I'm only talking about my genre, which has always been two-step, garage, drum and bass, jungle, blah, blah, blah. That's where I hail from. Yes. And I guess over the years, it's like, you know, we've gone into house and stuff, but I think at the very root of what I am, that is what I mean. I do think that when you don't necessarily look a certain part, it's harder to translate to certain audiences because, you know...
Well, what recognition are you looking for? That's what I was curious about, because you were like, it does feel like you feel like some people don't take you as seriously, which I know you kind of mentioned before, like with the Gen Z aesthetics or whatever. Mm-hmm. You said, you know, there's just certain things that I'm not recognized for that I would like to be. What do you want?
I think in the UK, I've said this before in other interviews, I think in the UK, and this is my experience, in the UK we're not necessarily told to reach for the stars.
Yes.
Whereas over here you kind of are.
Yes.
But in the UK it's definitely more of like a cold reality as opposed to like, here's a dream. And the reality of the situation is like, we don't have the same level of, like, we have our global stars for sure, but they're not in the troves that you guys have them. You know, like, I feel like if I go to somewhere like LA, someone will tell me that they have access to, like, someone hugely famous, whereas in the UK, it's like, I don't, like, maybe my friend's dad was in EastEnders,
right,
or something like that, which is like a soap show. So it's like, it's kind of, fame isn't necessarily the overarching thing in the UK. the way that it is in America. Like, I feel like everyone's chasing this dream. The American dream is fame, fame, fame. So, yes, I think we're just a bit more, like, realistic.
Okay.
One of my biggest inspirations is, she's a girl called Archives, and she is a drum and bass artist. She's been making drum and bass for so many years. She was one of the main people calling for having an electronic genre at the MOBO Awards, which is like, so it's things like that, where I just mean that there is a lot of my favorite artists, like Rochelle Jordan recently released an amazing album, Kalala, like these are all artists where I feel like we're all in EDM, but it's a pocket of EDM that's not necessarily completely, it's a branch of like two-step, it's leading into garage, R&B, it's this kind of group. I'm not going to say that I'm in that camp, but I'm going to say that I think that as somebody that would like to be in that camp, or kind of teeters into that camp of these women kind of making this genre, I do think that it's not necessarily the loudest genre. I don't know if it's highlighted as much. I don't think that there's necessarily the machine behind that genre, is what I'm saying. But when I say electronic music, I mean that.
But I mean, it's interesting that you bring up in Britain, there's kind of like this disposition of it's like the cold reality as opposed to chasing the dream. Because I feel like you've been determined to chase the dream.
I have 100%, because that's the type of personality that I have. I 100% have. I don't know why, but genuinely, like, from the beginning, like, as a young person, I've just always been very, like, if I want it, I get it. At some point when I was 19, I just realized, like, I really want to have money, and I really, I mean, that wasn't the driving factor behind making music, but I knew that I wanted a job that would make me happy, but then also give me a good life. Obviously, music is always something where you're like, nah, it's not gonna happen. But then I just went for it, and I obviously, like, I am so happy.
I think you keep on going for it, which is kind of...
Yeah, exactly. I think I try and be audacious, but still keep myself comfortable.
Yeah. Yes. You're definitely in that in-between spot where, because you were saying you'll do things for your career if they make you feel uncomfortable, for the advancement of your career.
Yeah, I don't really want to be well known. I just want to be really well respected.
Yes.
Which I think I already am, which is great, but I don't know. It's a weird thing in your mind. You always think, like, I want to have this taste of fame, but then part of me is like, oh God, I do not want to have all these eyes. It's tough. It's really a tough thing, and that's why, I do think everything I do is slightly muted by, like, just by an inch, because of that. Maybe I think I always try and keep myself just one step before going insane with something. I'm happy that you don't want to be niche, because I see so many artists who feel like that's only the scope that they can be, and I know that there's structural things that keep them in that scope, so I don't want to take that away from them, but it's like, to me, nothing about what you're doing is niche. Yeah, gotcha. And it's like really good music. But that's also the beauty of Tyler, is that he's still specific, but still very commercially successful. Yeah, exactly. So I think there's artists like you who are breaking that mold each and every day, where people don't feel like they have to have this cookie cutter formula to gain mass commercial success. You were anonymous when you first started, and you were very particular about showing yourself and not wanting to be seen. Now, obviously, you are showing yourself. Obviously, you're more comfortable with seeing yourself. Okay, but I'm sure you also keep certain boundaries. What are those? Just personal things like my family, or like if I'm seeing somebody, certain musical opinions maybe. Okay. So you never go public with a relationship. Yeah, I think that's smart. Do you think the media understands you? 50-50 yes, 50-50 no. When don't you feel like they do? Like, I think when people are only aware of me from like something like A Boy's a Liar or like Illegal, there's maybe some misunderstanding as to like what my motivation as a musician is. Yeah. My motivation as a musician is I'm actually a producer first, so obviously like I mean, just making beats, and like I think as an artist I represent the whole curation of the beat, all the samples, the writing, the references. That's what I encompass with the help of like producers that like I sometimes bring in when I can't do something myself. But I think some people maybe think that I just am the singer or the performer. Yeah. But I'm not the performer. I'm like, well, I am, but I'm also everything else. Yes. So I think when people see me perform without the knowledge of everything else, I think they can maybe be a bit confused, because they're like, oh, that's, she doesn't seem like this is her strong suit. Because it isn't. I'd say my strong suit is everything else first.
Yes. You were talking about cultural markers, because we talked about that. Making sure that it's a volley between big TikTok hit and then just like music that feels maybe a little bit more niche, or just what's exactly what you want to make. Like, what are these cultural markers? I'm just curious. Like, is it a feature? Like,
I mean, I will definitely say I definitely, I always get surprised when something ends up being big on TikTok because I don't necessarily plan for it. I that's another thing which makes people think I make music for people that aren't fans think I make it for TikTok, which is insane because now I don't, but it's okay. That's fine. No, I'd say cultural markers for me are more just like things that add to the lore of me.
okay.
Or add to the lore of my story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like a collaboration would be a cultural marker. Like, I do think Boys Alive was definitely a cultural marker of the year that it came out, which was 2023. But then something smaller that could be a marker would be, like, people finding out I play chess. Like, that's still something that adds to the culture and the lore of me.
When did you know that?
I'd say it just is how inflated something gets, like, how out of my sphere it gets. There's also good and bad cultural markers, so, you know.
One artist that I know who you have a relationship with, Charlie XCX. And it's interesting because she's kind of operated in an alternative kind of space for a little bit, like alternative and pop, and obviously she had like a big hit with Fancy, and she kind of grew this strong fan base, and then she had Brat. I'm curious, what did you learn or observe from that?
I've been following her for years and years. So basically what happened was, I mean, if you didn't know, I'm sure you did know.
Please
so
explain. You probably know more. Go ahead.
Yeah, so obviously, so what, that's flipping out, like 16 or something, 15. And then, so she occupied basically the PC music space. There's many pioneers of the PC music. Sophie is obviously the GOAT of PC music. Obviously, we have A.G. Cook, we have people like Danielle Hall. The people just occupy that space. And yes, Charlie 100% did a very, very, very smart thing where she decided that she was going to occupy that space and not only like collaborate with people that existed within that space, but yeah, she cultivated a very strong fan base from being in that community. That's a trajectory I'd look at for myself, you know, 100%. It's very different. I never had my Fancy, but I do very much love the idea of occupying and cultivating a fan base that are just going to be very strong. And then as you get bigger, they just grow with you. And, you know, now, you know, I think her and her fan base have genuinely grown together.
Yeah, for sure. Are there certain things that have surprised you about the music industry or that you'd like to change?
Probably just how calculated everything is.
Yeah.
Everything's 100% super calculated, which can be quite depressing. I also think way too much money is thrown early on in people's careers, and I don't think it does any good sometimes. And I know people who have had millions thrown their way and aren't able to recoup. I think that's a big issue in the American music industry. Just too much money being thrown.
To me, there feels like there's always a tidbit from your interview that gets picked up and like goes wide, whether it was a track listing thing.
I don't listen to albums, I just listen to songs.
That's crazy.
I don't listen to albums. That's why when it came to my own album, I was like, do people care about track listing? And
Yes, that's like a really big thing.
I couldn't believe it. You know, like some people were like, oh, it's a great album, but the track listing doesn't make sense. I'm like, it's just listen to the song.
Or what we were just talking about with like Black women in electronic music. Because you said that sometimes you feel like you're used as a scapegoat. Can you talk more about like what you mean by that? And
because of my age, and because I am an artist that is kind of, the origins are from something like TikTok.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of a phenomenon as to how one can, being born from TikTok is synonymous with 4 years later she still has a career. I think for some people that's a bit alarming and surprising, and I think a lot of people, when I said like 50% of people get it, 50% don't, I think the 50% that don't are always a bit like, yeah, I don't understand why she's famous. I don't understand why she's here. I don't know why her music is enjoyed by people, or why it's received well. And I think for those people, I think that they are just generally curious as to what I have to say.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'll always read the comments, and then the 50% that do get it are like, oh, this is what she means, you know, like, yeah, I get it. And then the other 50% are like, no, this is not right. And I think that it always causes a healthy and interesting debate.
So you don't mind it?
I do mind it. I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like it because, to be honest with you, I have 100% got a platform. But I do think one thing I love about artists, I don't know, I don't think anyone's opinion regarding art specifically should ever be torn apart or dismantled.
Yeah.
But at the same time, equally, if it's a healthy debate, that's fine. But I think when someone's attacking my person, I think it's a bit far.
Yeah.
Or attacking my integrity or my knowledge with music.
Yeah.
That annoys me so bad.
Yeah. Now we want to talk about the aesthetics of PinkPantheress. So I know that you had said that you learned a lot when working with Ice Spice about just how she kind of packaged herself and created this image. And it seems like that was something that you focused on particularly for Fancy That. So talk about like what were some of the references. Clearly plaid is a reference. And obviously speaks to your UK roots. But what were you thinking about when you were coming up with the image that you wanted to portray for Fancy That and this tour?
I'm a big fan of just patterns. So when I have an era, I always like to associate it with the pattern. So for Heaven Knows, it was like cheetah print. And now I wanted to have another pattern for this era, so I was thinking of what it could be. At first, it actually was going to be camouflage, which is funny, but then I was like, I just think it's not. Something about it didn't feel right, so I was like, okay, let me try do like a red tartan. It's a nice subtle call to like where I'm from, but it's not overloading it. It's also, I find it cute, you know, it's easily recognizable, obviously. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make it kind of like a uniform situation where like I'm kind of wearing it as much as I can. I mean, even this top here is like red and blue and white. So yeah, it's subtle calls. It's not, you're never trying to do too much.
Did you, and then obviously people have had lots of comment. They do this with all celebrities, but they've had lots of commentary about how you dress, etc. Is that something that still bothers you or? No. Okay. How'd you get to a point of being over it?
Because I'm not gonna lie, I've had it all my life, so.
Okay. Okay, so you're used to it.
Yeah.
I don't know what like what, teasing? I hope
yes,
not.
I think my friends would just be like, your fit is dreadful. And I'd be like, I just would keep wearing it. There was something about being told that it wasn't nice that I enjoyed. But obviously, I'll never forget, like, I had a male friend who would always be like, you're fit, like, your outfits, like, I see what you're going for, it's just not working. I remember, like, telling him, I was like, just because I'm not skinny, you're trying to say that because I'm a curvy woman, that I can't wear yeah, I was coping real bad. But.
I saw something. Is there anything that you intentionally do to challenge what a pop star looks like?
I feel like it's never intentional where I'm like, okay, let me prove that I'm not real for real. Like, I don't want to be edgy. I honestly, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn. I do feel like there is a group of people which I represent that are just shy girls. And I think that we're not allowed to be shy enough sometimes. And I think that's what I mean. Another thing about being a pop star is you always need to be this super confident figure that's like perfect. You know, again, being from the UK, so many of my favorite pop stars were not perfect beings. They were like sometimes they were unglamorous, sometimes they were messy. Being shy is a secret power for me because I feel like there's a lot of girls out there that are just as shy who also feel like they need to be represented. Yeah. And I feel like I do that for them. I do feel like when I get to meet my fans, like I feel very, very similar to them. I like get so many comments where they're like, you feel like my older sister. And that makes me happy because I'm like, that makes me feel good. I would rather be your older sister than someone that you saw as unattainable.
Right. Because you've talked about that, how you don't like when performing, which we're going to talk about next. Because you looked so at ease in the boiler room, whereas, you don't like to feel elevated from the crowd.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about performing. I love the Jimmy Fallon performance. It was so adorable, and I think you looked really, you looked like you were having fun, and you looked confident.
Yeah, I know, I loved it. It was so amazing.
So tell me how you, have worked to get to that place, and the preparation, because it's very different. Like, you have your purse off, you're you're ready to go. It just, I was just like, wow, she's really coming into herself. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Flipping, it was very scary, I'm not gonna lie. People joke about this a lot, but this wig feels like I'm Hannah Montana sometimes.
I just saw that. They said she's giving Hannah Montana. I think that's a compliment, no?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, but when I take it off, it feels like I'm just I'm Vicky, you know.
Oh, okay.
And I think when it's on, it feels like I'm somebody else, which is sometimes nice, but sometimes it's kind of out of body. But the dances are all so amazing, and they look so good. The outfits had me wee.
So what was the rehearsals process? Like, did you work closely with the choreographer to, like, do subtle movements that still felt really fun?
Yeah, so we actually had a legendary...
Yes. Danny, right?
Danielle. I mean, she's a legend, so that in itself was an insane experience to have her be involved. It's just so funny. I wanted to do something I am a big fan of theatre and musical theatre, and I really enjoy the idea of doing set design more so than just leaving it up to just basic band setup.
I was gonna ask, how do you think studying film has impacted your approach to, like, making songs?
I enjoy storytelling a lot, and I think that watching films, especially someone like David Lynch, for example, I enjoy leaving things up for interpretation as well, but I very much enjoy things like indirect storytelling, things that aren't in your face, super obvious. You can't just be any old person and just be like, oh, okay, I get it. Right. I like things to be a little bit more, you know, even something with this, it's like, it's so cheesy and it's almost ugly. When we were talking about this set, I was trying to make it tacky as possible. I was genuinely like, no, I want it to look fucking in your face nasty, like these awful reds and like flat shoes. I just really like things being a little bit
left of center.
Left of center, yeah.
Yeah, and I love the tiny desk. I thought, like, the arrangement of everything, the phone transition, to me this embodies, like, all of your gifts as an artist. Yeah. So can you talk about that, like the preparation for that and what you were trying to convey?
We worked with these two MDs. We had Lisa and we had Avi, and they are two really amazing MDs, very talented at what they do. And when I come into a room like that, funnily enough, I actually like to think of myself as an MD because I play a bunch of instruments, so I pretty much am able to like put notes here. If there's piano things, I can figure that out. But when I went into that room, everybody was so equipped at what they did. All it took was basically for me to just be like, okay, let's add some more oomph here, let's add this here, let me play the harmonica in this section. And essentially what came out of it was just such a fun experience, and it was very much something that I wanted to do for my fans.
And you not using an effect on your voice, do you think you'll do that more?
No.
Okay.
No.
You said before in the past you don't think you're brandable. Do you still feel that way?
No, I do think I'm brandable.
Okay, I was gonna say you're very brandable.
Yeah, I definitely did say that once upon a time. Maybe 2 years ago. 2 years ago I wasn't brandable. Now I'm brandable, 100%.
And you were looking at it and you were like, the wig, it felt like as you were looking at it and you were saying my hair gives me Hannah Montana. I know you went through a period where you cut your hair.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about what the next era will be?
I actually think about that a lot.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about doing a brunette middle parting bust down, but I don't know yet. There's something about this fringe and just the recognizable way that this just kind of, it speaks for itself now, kind of this hairstyle.
If you look at Pink's features and the songs she samples, you can get a sense of how disparate her influences are. On Fancy Some More, she worked with newer artists like Eve, JT, and Raven Lenae, along with more established acts like Kylie Minogue and Anita. But she also went back to her roots in the drum and bass, electronic and garage space, working with artists like Basement Jaxx and DJ Kilimanjaro. PinkPantheress is a true music curator and archivist, pulling from different genres, eras, and sounds, but making it all her own. She comes from a lineage of British artists, some who have found success in the US, others who haven't, and alternative women artists who have never broken through in the same way she has. Here's a big stat. Billboard recognized Pink as Billboard's 2024 Women in Music Producer of the Year. She has surpassed 2.7 billion streams on Spotify across all credits, and she's the 17th most streamed female British artist on the platform. But how did she break through exactly? And why has the internet connected with her sound, look, and content? In this last section, we will discuss her strategy for cracking the algorithm, her sampling process, how she's evolving as an artist and person, and what cultural markers she's aiming to hit. One thing I realized when I was doing my deep research was how strategic and analytical you kind of been in a lot of ways. And before you dropped your first song, Just a Waste, you said you spent a year kind of studying the algorithm. What did you find that informed how you started dropping music?
I was trying to figure out how to develop online fans, because the time in which it was, which was like 2020, it was kind of in a weird era where it was post SoundCloud, but it was kind of pre-TikTok kind of music discovery platform era. So obviously back in the day, like some of my favorite artists used like MySpace and stuff. So I was just kind of looking into like using online as a platform to distribute music and gain a fan base from there, because I wasn't somebody that necessarily thought that I could do it the more organic way of doing like pub gigs and live shows, and like I'm not like a live singer. So I pretty much looked at what the options were. I tried SoundCloud first, then I realized that SoundCloud maybe wasn't the correct platform for me to use, so then I tried TikTok instead. That's it. All I wanted was really to hone in on building a fan base. That was like my biggest aim. So that was kind of the research that I did.
Okay. Because I know you were talking to Zane and you were saying how like when you first broke on TikTok, it was a discovery app, a music discovery app, and now you feel like people only connect with the song if it's already popular.
Yeah, I'd say back when I was starting, it was a little bit more, it was a bit less saturated with musicians. Like, I remember when I was on TikTok early days in 2020, and I was like, I used to scroll obviously, and I'd find maybe like a few musicians who were trying to push their stuff on it, but it wasn't really the thing to do.
Right.
I can't remember, I don't even know if I saw someone else try it and I thought, okay, let me try this for myself. But I tried it myself, and yeah, I'd say back in 2020 it was easier to kind of get the grassroots of a song and then have a small bubbling thing around it, and then for it to like build into something quite nice. Whereas I think now it's a little harder, I think, to get that like hit just from that TikTok anymore. Even if the song's really big, I feel like it's harder for you as an artist to be big with the hit. Usually the hit will be bigger than the artist.
Interesting.
These days. Even I find that with myself still, so you know, it's not like I've necessarily cracked it.
I mean, you have more so than other artists.
Oh yeah, well, but because I started in 2020, that's why I think I have. But if I would have started this year, I think it would have been a completely different scenario.
Okay. Are you still looking at these platforms in the same way you were when you were trying to break? Because like, how did this inform how you wanted to distribute Fancy That?
No, I totally look at it differently, because I think my first project that I ever made, which was called To Hell With It, for sure, was one where audience opinion basically dictated which tracks were going to be on the project. Because people responded to the ones that they made big, and then I was like, okay, this is good, I'm going to include these on the mixtape, and then I'm going to write some more songs and put them on. For my first album, I was like, okay, I don't really care if this takes off on any platform, I just want to make a good album, and that was Heaven Knows. And obviously that was on the back end of a really big TikTok song. So there was a big thought process behind that album being very offline, and I was really happy because I think it then gave me the like space I needed from something like TikTok to then come back 2 years later and then have another big TikTok song like Illegal. You know, if every era has a song that's gonna exist on that app, like as like a big song on there, I would rather it was spaced out evenly rather than every year there's like a big TikTok song.
Right.
So yeah, but I think regardless of if anything takes off on any app, I think regardless, I'm still blessed to have songs have this many ears.
Do you feel like your trajectory was quick?
I think it was a pretty good, nicely spaced, even trajectory. Because I've seen people go from 0 to actually 100. And that to me, I'm like, wow, that's insane. I can identify that. But I don't look at myself and think, I went from 0 to 100. I actually definitely remember all the bits in between. And even now, I'm like, still going up.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I think that people would immediately classify you as alternative.
Yeah.
And I've seen other alternative artists who haven't been able to break through in the same way that you have. So I'm just curious, what do you think has attributed to that? Like, is it kind of you studying the algorithm? Obviously, the music is good.
I don't know, actually. I think for me, maybe it's a amalgamation, if that's the right word, of, I think, certain aesthetic choices which really translate with, like, Gen Z.
Yes.
I think it's also, like, the introduction of something like drum and bass and jungle, which really does actually resonate with Gen Z as well. When you resonate with Gen Z, older audiences then kind of tap in because they want to know what's hot. I also think some certain feature choices I've made as well. I've tried to remain consistent musically.
Yeah, no, I think those are all really great answers. One thing I think that you've been really good at that has also helped you is being able to articulate what you do and talk about your art, because that is something that it takes some artists a while to get there, but I feel like from the jump you've known what you're trying to do and, like, had a vision for what you're trying to do. It's been a gift for you and it's been a differentiator, but it is hard for UK artists to break in America. And I know that you obviously have a musical relationship with Central C. Was he doing big streaming numbers then? Like, were you ever studying what he was doing?
He is still, like, I think one of the biggest artists to come out, because he did something really smart early in his career, which was he broke Europe. So he didn't just go for America first. He went to Italy and he did features with Italian art. Like, he did Europe. And I think when you get Europe, that means that you get a big launch pad to try and go overseas to, like, America. I didn't necessarily study because we are two different genres, and I think rap is easier to kind of push. I think it's easier. There's, like, a bigger machine behind rap specifically. I'd say I more looked at him as someone that's from the same country, and I do this with a lot of UK artists where I'm like, you know, I like to be friends with as many UK artists as I can, because I think it's really good to stick together. I know it's really cheesy, but, like, the UK is actually such a small country, like, and I think obviously it's put on this pedestal because it's still, like, as a British person, I think of it as, like, the second most important place for music after America, but in actually the eyes of the world, England is not even close to touching, like, certain other countries. Like K-pop is probably bigger than, like, our music industry. So I always think, like, I want to stick together. Like, in some way, I guess I was, you know, looking at him and thinking, like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's great that y'all have been able to, like, work together on multiple occasions.
Yeah, for sure.
And him sampling your song and then having an official feature. I feel like he's also trying to stick together. You know, like, he's trying to,
Yeah, he's very collaborative. Like, pretty much his whole career has been very... He's actually such an icon in the UK. Like, people my age, like, we remember Wild West, and, like, it was such a time.
How do you deem something successful? Like, are you happy? Because I've read that you don't really care about charting.
No.
Well, why not?
Well, because I guess early in my career I realised that you could have a song chart at number 2 and then, like, the next week it could be 98. And I was just like, well, I don't know if this is something that actually is healthy to think about, because it's so fickle. But also, streaming numbers doesn't necessarily affect the charts.
Yeah, I mean, clearly.
Yeah,
You're streaming
Yeah,
a lot. Because I've read and watched you say, like, I don't want to focus on the numbers because it becomes this thing that I become obsessive about.
Yes.
So, therefore, how do you deem if something is successful or not? Like,
I'd say for me it's more of a feeling, and, like, and how well something translates to my fans. So I have a song that I put out with this tape, and it's called Stateside. In terms of, like, streaming numbers or whatever, like, obviously it's not as big as some other of the songs, but I know that when I perform that song, people are singing that the loudest. That for me is when a song is, like, successful. I also think songs can be growers. I mean, that's an obvious trope that exists, but, like, yeah, I think in 2 years, you know, seeing which songs are still being, like, very, have had very consistent streaming numbers is still, it's a good sign of if a song's aged well.
I know you were talking a lot about you're really interested in building a fan base, and that's kind of what you're most interested in above, like, a song charting. So it's like, how are you viewing that? Like, how did you view that with Fancy That?
So I already, obviously, I've built a pretty steady fan base, I'd say, over the years. I'm obviously still trying to grow it, but I feel like there's a few people out there that maybe don't buy into me necessarily, maybe because of the whole TikTok thing, or maybe because of, like, maybe they're just not, like, aware that maybe my music is maybe as alternative as they think. You know, I still get people saying that I'm like, I make very basic. I don't think that my music's anything crazy, but I don't think it would be fair to say that I make like very typical pop mainstream generic.
Yeah,
that's the thing, generic.
Yeah.
So I don't know if people necessarily want to buy into all of the aesthetics and maybe the Gen Z-ness of me, and it might seem a bit corny to them. But with this project, I really wanted to kind of expand my fan base to just more than, I guess, you know, younger people online. I wanted to kind of try and appeal to like people that go out to clubs or people that are a bit older and like really enjoyed like the late 90s electronic, you know, scene of music. And I think, to be honest with you, like I think every release I kind of end up scooping more people with each release.
Okay, so now we're gonna get into your process and just like making music. And obviously you're very gifted at using samples and references, just like you were saying, like sound curation, etc. So how has your process kind of changed from when you first started to now? Obviously you're working with producers, but yeah, what do you think is the biggest shift, and how have you gotten better?
When I first started, it was pretty much just me alone, but I was producing off of samples a lot. I would do my own original production too, but at first I wasn't really interested in working with anyone until I met Oscar, who is someone I've collabed with for so many years now, and he's a good friend of mine. He was working at the time with like people like Ash Nico and stuff, and I remember thinking like, oh, okay, this is interesting, like I wonder how we're gonna work together. I just didn't think anyone could do anything for me or my music. When he gave me the first song, I was like, wow, this feels like it could be way bigger than what I'm capable of doing. It was just a natural progression at that point to start working with other people. Then I started working with Muramasa a lot. And then with this project, I went kind of back to working by myself for a little bit of it, with just a little bit of tweaking added, with help added from like other producers. But for sure, this tape has been very hands-on for me.
I know you've been open about your OCD, which is a very specific kind. How do you think it helps with music making?
I wonder if it even does. I think it makes me really just like, it makes me kind of double, triple guess everything. It leaves me always wondering if I'll ever be like good enough or perfect enough to like be the person I want to be. I don't know. But so it adds pressure to make better songs maybe, but yeah, it always makes me think everything I release is bad until other people say it's not bad.
Using samples is an art, you know, and some people do it well. I think you do it well.
Thank you.
And some people are a bit lazier about it. I'm curious, who are some artists or producers who you really enjoy how they use samples?
Well, the main inspiration for this project was a group called Basement Jacks, and they really sample OD, which is funny because you'd never know because it always sounds so original. I remember they were telling me how they sample and how they go about it, and I was just so shocked. I was like, wow, like they're the type of people that go through like vinyls and like listen. And obviously like I have a vinyl collection at home, but for sure the idea of listening through vinyls to kind of pick up and then record it from vinyl and print it to a computer, it doesn't feel like something I necessarily racing to do, but when they told me their process, it really, I kind of did the computer equivalent of it, you know. I started just really deep diving into like certain sounds that I never thought that I would ever have to use in a song, and then that kind of went from there.
I know you're a big manifester. What are you manifesting now? Like, what are you interested in kind of achieving now?
I'm trying to manifest a better temperament. I just feel like I get too stressed, and one thing that I'm realizing as I get older is that stress really wears your body down in many ways, and it leads to illness, whatever. I just realized I need to have a better temperament, and I need to stop treating everything like it's the end of the world. That's about it though.
I feel like that's good advice from me as well. I do want to know, you said you want to write for people and produce for people. One person you said is Tinashe.
Yes.
Why Tinashe specifically?
I don't know, because I love Tinashe's voice, and because I think she's a very good writer. I like the idea of producing a beat for someone where I feel like they will do it justice. I would hate the idea of producing a beat for someone and then hearing it when it's done and being like, no. I also said Doja Cat the other day, I think she's still, yes. So someone like that where I'm like, oh wait, I know your writing will do this justice.
Mm-hmm. Have you listened to her album?
Yes.
What do you think?
I love, oh my god, I mean, Gorgeous is on repeat.
Oh yeah, that's such a great song.
It's really good.
Yeah, really good song. I'm curious, and this is kind of a little bit deep. Earlier, I know, like, even listening to something like 19, you were clearly dealing with, like, themes of feeling alone and other, even, like, I guess within your own family. Now you have a certain level of fame that, to me, can feel even more isolating. Do you feel isolated? I know you were talking about how Steve Lacy is a big mentor to you. How do you learn from him to kind of cope with this position that you're in?
Yeah, someone like Steve, for sure, like, is someone where, like, when I check in, I like his insight for certain things. I think that he's somebody that thinks in actually a very special way. Like, he'll say a sentence that I've never heard other people say before. Someone like Claro as well, I also love talking to her about this kind of thing, how we both feel sometimes. Even someone like Lola as well, Lola Young. We're both British, and I feel like there's a lot of bottling things inside sometimes. I don't want to speak on behalf of her, but it just is the most cheesy thing to talk about when you're in this position, because it's always like that classic mental health, like, conversation. But I you know, like, back when I was making my first mixtape, when I was making 19, and I have a song called Reason.
I love that song.
Oh, thanks!
That's like one of my favorites. I love that song.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And basically I have OCD, which is obsession. So I have obsessions over, like, things that I fear the most, and that's kind of what my OCD, I don't have the OCD that means you, like, align things.
Yeah.
I have it's obsessive looping thoughts, and I have weird existential fears. And when I wrote Reason, if anyone reads the lyrics or goes through the lyrics, it's actually me writing, like, it's my OCD revolves around existentialism. So Reason is about that, you know. It's about, like, in my head, like, writing out the reasons I'm alive, you know, because that's a compulsion that I had to do back then, was I had to write out the reasons I'm alive. It was only hard because my OCD, I was in the throes of OCD at the time. Now I actually am pretty much fine with it. But back then it was awful. I didn't even enjoy the fame or the like discovery of PinkPantheress at the time, because I was such in a bad place. It was so annoying. And I look back now and I'm like, bro, I could have had such a great time, but I had the worst time of my life. But now it's like I can look and be like, wait, I'm actually happy now, so it's good.
Yeah, you can sense that, just like in the performances and the music.
Yeah.
Obviously, nobody's going to be happy all the time, but it does feel like you're coming into yourself, growing, and, like, adjusting to who you are and being happy. You do seem to have some very specific ideas about music, and you said that you, like, I'm 10 toes down on it. So you've said songs shouldn't be over 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Girl, no, I didn't.
You didn't say that? Oh.
I said I tried to make songs over 2 minutes 30 for my debut album.
Okay.
And we tried making songs that were up to 4 or 5 minutes long. And we realized that we didn't want any songs that were too long.
Did you say that bridges aren't necessary?
For my music.
For your music. But I'm like, I want to hear what your bridge would sound like.
No, a lot of my songs have bridges in them.
Yeah.
Not a lot, actually. Maybe 3 or 4.
Okay.
Maybe 1 or 2.
Okay.
But no, yeah, when I talk about music, I'm only talking about my music and my experience.
Yes.
I don't speak for anyone.
Yes.
I don't speak for anyone, and I actually love when people have their own opinions.
Are there any other rules that you kind of softened on?
I actually don't have as many rules as people probably think. My only rules is that I have to really like the song.
Okay.
I would never release a song that I was ever on the fence about. For my debut album, we just tried everything in the book. We threw the kitchen sink at that album, and we ended up realizing that actually a lot of these songs were better being, like, a little shorter, and all the bridges that we wrote sucked. So I took them out, apart from one song.
So you're about to embark on the U.S. leg of your tour.
Yeah.
I want to go see it. I think you're going to be here for Halloween. Yeah, you're going to be here for Halloween. I really want to see that show.
Yeah, that's fun.
And I'll be around. So I really want to see you live. But, you know, how are you thinking in general? Seems like you're in a good mood.
You need to come to the headline tour, because that one's the one with all the stage set up and everything. The King's Theatre in Brooklyn.
Oh, yes. Okay. What are you thinking about in terms of career? I hate to be the one that says, like, you release music this year, so what are you thinking about the next project? Like, what's kind of top of mind for you in terms of career and what you,
I don't know. I'd love to do random stuff. I would love to do acting. I would love to do flipping. I would love to actually maybe try and release a single next year. I do things every 2 years in terms of projects. That feels like a nice, healthy way of kind of like spacing it out. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's not every 2 years, actually. It's every other year.
Okay.
Not every other. It's every other year. Yeah.
Got
so
it.
year 5. Damn, 5 years.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I just want to say that I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Like, you brought up Reason. I feel like my first introduction to you might have been that song.
Wow, I'm surprised that you like that song.
Why?
Don't know.
Okay. But yeah, I love that song. I love 19. I love Break It Off. That's my shit. I actually wanted to ask you about that album cover. Like, what is that picture?
I just
Found
it online.
Okay.
It depicts the song.
It does. But I'm a huge fan of what you do.
Thank you.
Musically, and I can tell that you're a thinker and that you are really like being intentional about what you're doing, and a lot of what you're doing is archive work, you know, and just like the way you're sampling certain artists and giving their music new light that hasn't always gotten the light that it deserves. And I think you also do it in a way that feels so you, which is hard to do, you know, and I think you've had a very clear vision from the start, and I've appreciated watching it and how you evolve, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see you on tour.
Yes, please, you have to come.
Yes.
Thank you.
Of course.